You're watching the Coaches Roundtable on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. From the Butler Cubs Athletic Association, it's the Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, one of the best high school football coaches in the country from Pine Richland High School, Eric Kasperowicz. Eric, thanks for joining us. And let me go by some numbers with you. 59-11 the last 5 years. 5 of those losses, Phil Jakovic's junior year when he had an injured hand. 3 WBL titles. You missed the 4th last year by a whisker. It looked like you were going to get it. That the drive ended at the central 9-yard line. A state championship, a state runner-up, 2 of the most dynamic quarterbacks in WPL history, and Ben DiNucci, now signed with the Cowboys, and Phil Jakovic, who's transferred from Notre Dame to Boston College. And you have another one coming up. Cole Spencer's going to Penn for wrestling. He had a phenomenal year. Coach, you're becoming the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the kind sentiments, but a lot of good players, as you just mentioned, went through the list there. I mean, I'm blessed to have a great football players. I'm blessed to have a great football staff. My staff's incredible. By no means do I do it myself. And a great community. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family. That's where my family's at. And, it's a great place to play high school football. They love their football there. They buy into what we're selling, and it's been a great run, and we're just, knock on wood and hoping that we're able to have that opportunity here starting in about 30 days from today, actually.
And you're reloaded because you have Spencer back for his 3rd year. He's approaching that 10,000 mark in total yards. You have 3 of your top receivers back, Johnson and Miller and Joachim. Joachim. Yep. Looked like maybe Joachim and Johnson could be Division I players. They're big kids.
Yeah, we got a great core going, but coming back, and actually Johnson, he transferred to Texas, so he's gone.
Oh, okay.
But he's out of there. But Joachim's back, primed to have a great career. And you mentioned Cole Spencer. What he's done has been just tremendous. I mean, especially following the Ben DiNucci, who's with the Cowboys now. 3-year starter, Phil Jakovic. Everybody knows about him. 3-year starter now at Notre Dame, now at Boston College, and then you got this little wrestler, Cole Spencer, who very likely, if we have a full season here, could beat both of their numbers. Just a tremendous high school quarterback, like you mentioned, going to Penn to wrestle, just a tremendous athlete, competitor, and the gains he made from a sophomore year to junior year were crazy. And so if he continues on that same trajectory and has, makes those same gains going into a senior year, it'll be a special year for him.
And always the unsung group for you, your offensive line, and you have a number of players coming back there too.
Yeah, we have 4 of the 5 returning. 2 are already committed to actually the same school. They're committed to Liberty University, a Division I school down in Virginia. It's Harrison Hayes, Miguel Jackson. Got another John Swisher who plays the other tackle. He's primed to have a great year. He'll play college football somewhere. Spencer King is a defensive lineman, offensive guard for us. He'll play college football at some level. And then we got a young buck, a sophomore, stepping in there, Isaiah Kearns, who seems to be the guy that's the front runner to play center for us. We got all the pieces. It's my job not to screw it up.
Well, I think your defense the last few years has really been strong. I know the one year you were concerned about it, but you made some changes, and your defense has been solid.
Yeah, it comes back to the old cliche, offense wins games and defense wins championships, especially here in Western Pennsylvania. Our offense has been tremendous the past, number of years, but to be able to beat the St. Joe's Preps, the team that, to win the state title and beat some of the teams that we play down the stretch, you got to play great defense. You can't always rely on the offense because sometimes you'll have a bad night. Sometimes the weather will come into effect. Sometimes the other team's pretty darn good too, and they'll have answers. So you got to be able to play great defense to keep you in the game, and then hopefully your offense can get clicking.
Well, let's look. You're dropping because of enrollment decline from 6A down to 5A. So you go from 6A where there are 9 teams to 5A where there are 18 teams. I think there's a better competitive balance there. You lose North Allegheny, you're going to play your alma mater, North Hills. You get Penn Hills, and you have Gateway's loaded again, and Upper St. Clair. How do you like the change?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I love change. Some people like I love change. And when we went from 4A to 6A, let's go, let's bring it on. And same thing here, going from 6A to 5A, like you mentioned. I think top to bottom, it's probably more competitive conference. 6A's obviously got the horses in Central Catholic and North Allegheny with the big enrollments, the Seneca Valleys. But then it kind of drops off a little bit. Then you go to 5A. There's about, like you mentioned, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. That could win it or compete for a title. So we're excited to just get some new, fresh blood a little bit, new teams to prepare for. Like you said, I get my alma mater, North Hills, back on the schedule. Gateway's got arguably the best kid in the country in Derek Davis. Upper St. Clair's primed to have a good year. Penn Trafford's always right there, to name a few. So we're very excited about it. So hopefully we get it going here.
Well, the past few weeks, we've talked about the impact of COVID-19 on sports. I had Dr. David Rottinghouse on from Butler Health System. You're familiar with him, and last week a psychologist. So we looked at it from every angle, the risk from the virus, and then keeping the kids at home and the impact of that. How are you dealing with that yourself, with your team, and with your coaches in your preparation to opening camp here in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's up to us. We do things the right way, then hopefully if the powers that be let us get out there and play, then we're going to have that ability. We're masking. We practiced this morning. Kids are in masks almost the entire time. We social distance, we sanitize everything. There's temperature checks, there's questions they have to answer every day, any sore throat, fever, shortness of breath, anything like that. They're answering on a daily basis, and we're monitoring every kid. So in our little bubble in Pine Richland, that's great. We're waiting to see what happens tomorrow from the state, but a lot of these schools, from a school standpoint, are going virtual or maybe a hybrid option. In my opinion, if we go virtual, that's great, because then they don't have the ability, or they won't get exposed to other kids in the regular classroom. If you're sitting next to Bobby in math class, sure, and Bobby has it, and I'm next to you, does that make me a contact? Whereas if we're virtual, then they go home with their family, they come to football, we practice, we stay in our bubble, we go home, and we repeat. And I think we could stay safe that way. And then during games, there's all kinds of precautions that I'm sure you saw. I don't know if you saw, Ohio came out with theirs. There's a lot of crazy things, but hey, I'll sign up for that right now if we're able to do it.
You could do all that distancing now, but once you start actual practice out on the field, you either play or you don't play. There's no social distancing at that point. How much are you telling your players, look, after practice and things like that, you can't hang out with your groups in cars and going to malls? And are they taking your message?
100%. I hope they are. And like you said, it goes back to my point about school. They got to be smart. When you're going home, you can't go to grad parties and hanging out with new groups of friends. Be with the people that you've been with your entire time, and then it's our hope that if we're playing Seneca Valley High School, we're hoping that Seneca Valley's doing the same, so that in their little Seneca Valley bubble, there's nothing in penetrating that. So when we do play and there's contact and there's sweat and spit flying, it shouldn't matter because nobody's infected, because we did the temperature checks, we know who we've been around, and all that stuff. Now, the minute somebody breaks the rules and then something happens, then that's when maybe things go awry.
The PIAA is coming out with a big announcement this week. How confident are you that this is going to be positive for the start of the season?
I'm extremely confident. I've heard different things, talked to some officials, talked to some state leaders. I'm one of the leaders of District 7 for the Pennsylvania State Football Coaches Association. So in our talks there, we're very confident that there's some talks that they're going to shorten the season, try to get it complete by Thanksgiving, which then in turn would have the WPIAL have to shorten our season by a few weeks.
Maybe top 2 teams out of each conference.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of 4.
The playoffs will not be watered down. There might be a top 8 or top 4 in each.
Okay.
6A, 5A. Maybe the week 0 games cut. Hey, we'll sign up for anything right now.
You were scheduled to open the season August 29th with Northern Highlands, New Jersey, a powerhouse at Rutgers University. New Jersey canceled that game, and you're going to fill that in with Woodland Hills.
Yep, yeah. New Jersey, just in all the COVID stuff within the past month, they actually pushed their season back and aren't playing that week. So in turn, that negated that game for us. So we were scrambling. We are actually signed in with Delaware Valley, who's a Eastern PA power in 6A. They're always in the state playoffs. And again, about a week ago, that kind of got nixed because of the travel coming from Philly area to Pittsburgh. They didn't want to risk that. So luckily, Woodland Hills had a drop in their schedule, so we signed on with Woodland Hills. We're going to play there on Saturday. I believe it's the 29th
And then Seneca Valley and Central Catholic. So you're going to find out early what kind of team you have. You're going to play two teams you played before at 6A.
No doubt. We're excited. Like you said, it's a great schedule. A lot of the traditional WPL powers, got 4 or 5 of them early in our schedule.
Eric, thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure to cover your team, to come and watch the games. And if I don't have a game to do on Friday night, I enjoy coming down to your venue and watching your teams play. You do just a great job. Good luck to you and good luck to everyone. Let's have a great season.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll be right back with Ellen George. I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left by the Tiger Albert Campman. Good to have Eric Kasperovich on, one of the best coaches anywhere you'll find. 59-11 the last 5 years, 3 WPL championships, missed the 4th on a drive that fizzled out inside the 10 against Central Catholic last year, 2 state championship appearances and 1 state title, and he's very optimistic about the start of the season. He's doing everything he can to make sure the kids are adhering to social distancing after they leave the conditioning process at the stadium. And the PIAA comes out with a big announcement tomorrow, and he's very hopeful that it'll be all positive.
Just look at Ohio's. They copy whatever the wine says.
Usually they follow Ohio. Usually they do. I think that's what you have to do as a coach, though. The kids are looking to you as their leader. You must remain positive and control what you can control. What do you have control of? Social distancing, telling the kids this is how we're going to do it. And then the PIA makes the ruling and you know you've done everything right, Eddie. That's so important in today's world.
And you brought it out of him. He's very familiar with what Ohio's doing. Remember, he said, they were kind of a pain, but he's willing to, he wants to play.
Has to be.
He wants to play.
If you want to play, that's Eddie.
Yes.
That's the issue.
That's the issue.
Either do you want to play or do you want to complain?
And he says the players are listening. At least he hopes that they are. They start August the 10th. Their opening game against a powerhouse out of New Jersey, Rutgers Stadium, has been canceled. Woodland Hills is taking their place. That game could be canceled, as well as preseason scrimmages could be canceled. The season will be shortened. The district playoffs will be finished earlier. However, that means instead of taking 4 teams and teams with losing records, they're going to take only the top 2 teams.
Yeah. You know, we like that, Eddie.
Oh, we like that.
That fits into our us 3 because those first games are killers. I think that's the thing you have to deal with. You have to explain to the kids it's going to be different, but it's going to be great because you get a chance to play.
And they're losing Hines, I guess. If what you read is true, they're going to lose Hines.
They're not going to play at Hines.
Because
the expense of renting it, and then you're going to limit the number of people in the stands. Cuts into the income. Right now, he told me at Pine, what they'll do, two tickets per person. That's it, so they can control who can come
Very
in
good.
there.
They planned it out pretty well.
Yeah, Texas has delayed the start of their season by 5 weeks. Their championship game will be in January. So that's news right there. We wait to hear from the PIAA this week.
Yeah, some states are looking still going into the spring. It's going to be, there's a lot of different things being tossed around, and I'll repeat myself again. Whatever you want to play, that's it.
Our stories of the week: Major League Baseball, the Pirates 1-2 in St. Louis. It was an eerie start to the season, especially when you saw the social distance arguing between the plate umpire and manager Derek Shelton. Threw a player out of it was in the stands, out of the game. Winning pitcher Mitch Keller on Sunday gave the Pirates their lone win, 5-1 win. A nice outing for him. And relief pitcher, I didn't know much about him at all. J.T. Brubaker went 2 innings with 4 Ks, a home run by Colin Moran and Jose Osuna. And then third baseman, another new face, Phillip Evans. He was 3 for 4. They opened the season against Milwaukee on Monday, and there were more people on the Clemente Bridge watching the game than in PNC Park. And Milwaukee beat the Pirates 6-5 in 11 innings after the Pirates blew a 4-run 9th inning lead. So you look at the Pirates, the second lowest payroll after Baltimore. And some parts of the team, you say, this looks like a major league team, and other parts, it doesn't have the appearance of major leaguers.
Well, when I look at the team, I see 2 starting pitchers that belong in major leagues. I see three relievers, and probably 4 players. That team, that makes up the salary. And if you're going to pay nothing and then blame the manager and blame the coaching staff, that really hits me hard, Eddie. I don't mind if you do it and say we're gonna try to rebuild, we're gonna try to do, but don't blame the whole staff. Get rid of all hurdle staff and say second payroll. I thought they were first. I didn't really realize Baltimore paid less.
Baltimore played.
But I'm upset. Upset.
And
First,
Baltimore,
you've been on
Baltimore
this show.
lost, what, 104 games last year?
Yes.
102.
We've been on this show a long time. You know how much I love the Pirates. I'm not loving them right now. I'm very upset.
It's hard with what they're doing when you see what they're doing. What's their payroll, George? Under 30 million, 40 million?
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
52 with everybody in it.
It's 52 million.
Don't act like you're trying. That's the other thing, what you both said. They act like they're trying to win.
Yeah, they're lying.
If you're trying to win, you have a closer, you win Monday night.
But I think the payroll's even lower because of the shortened season,
Absolutely.
60
It
games.
is,
They're-
it is.
they're-
They're
they're under 30.
38%.
Oh, yeah, no,
Right.
you're
They're
right.
only
Eddie.
paying
It's down
24
there.
million.
Yeah.
Oh, it's down that low now,
Yeah.
right?
Colin Moran, he's a bright spot. He had 2 home runs in the opening loss. The season has started, but will it finish? There's some complications around that. Baltimore, Miami canceled because Miami has 11 players, 2 or 3 coaches, all tested positive. Should the Miami Marlins even be playing at home? And will they be the first team that Major League Baseball will say, your season's done.
Well,
Your season's over.
I like the change you just said. If they're going to play, they're going to have to find a different home because Florida's an epidemic right now.
It's the number 1 hotspot
Yeah,
in
right.
the
Yeah, so
world.
Good point. Hey, by the way, good news. None of the Phillies tested positive.
Right. Well,
that's
today,
great news.
And they played Miami.
That's great
And
news.
That
they
is good.
canceled it because the Marlins were in
Absolutely.
the locker room there, and the Yankees wanted to
Absolutely.
make sure it was
Yes,
clean
absolutely.
before
Well,
I do believe
they
they're
went
gonna play.
The
there.
Yankees have
Eddie.
a payroll.
I do believe they're going to play.
Yeah.
I think they'll find a way, whatever way.
It's
Yeah,
because
money.
of this.
They're going to play.
Because of that.
They're going to play.
You know, David Price said he opted out. He doesn't feel that Major League Baseball, whether he's right or wrong, has put the players' interest first.
Well, they are not going to either.
And he can afford to stay out.
Ford already
Absolutely.
did. They played 4 guys, George, they knew.
4 guys they
tested
knew, and the pitcher tested
And
positive.
they still play.
They played
So,
the game.
Yes.
Hey, maybe Governor Wolf's decision to bar Toronto from playing in Pittsburgh wasn't so bad because
Maybe
you're
not.
bringing in a lot of other teams and seeing what happened with Miami. Maybe what he did was a blessing for the Pittsburgh.
Well, we don't know
area.
that. We don't know. We just know that there's 2 fractions of this that are going to be argued for decades: economics versus safety. And Wolf happens to be a guy.
He
that
erred
sides
on the
that
side
safety.
of caution.
Yes.
Now, elsewhere in the Major League Baseball, about the Dodgers signed Mookie Betts to a 12-year, $365 million contract that pays him through the year 2032.
Yeah, I
Guaranteed.
told Al the other day, they're paying for what they're going to do in the next 6 years, but they're going to eat the last 4 like Pujols and Miggy. That's the only problem with that. The guy at 40 cannot be what he was at 28.
And Detroit is still in the hole because of Mickey. They cannot get out of the hole. They paid him too much money. So Detroit is off the map. They used to have good teams.
Yeah.
They're lousy now. But the Angels and Dodgers don't care. They get Pujols. If they don't work out, they have enough money. So what? They'll pay the next guy. That's what's wrong with baseball.
You know who smiles every July 1st? He gets that
Bobby.
$1.9 million.
Bobby Bonilla.
Bonilla. And it goes on for what, another 10 years yet? He gets
That was the greatest
this money.
contract ever given. Yes, it was.
I've told you, Ralph Sindrich got the same contract for Bill Frelick, and then the NFL outlawed it.
What's the Mets could have paid him off one lump sum.
They done- and
decided not to do so.
Well, here's what happened. Bernie Madoff stole all of Wilpon's money. No, that's true. See,
Right.
and at the time, Ed, the interest rate was 8%.
And then when he owed him like $6 or $7 million.
So if you know the rule of 72, that doubled in 9 years.
Well, elsewhere, how about Dr. Anthony Fauci's ceremonial first pitch in the Yankees-Nats game was a wild pitch. He was immediately optioned out for reassignment.
I said to my wife, listen, I never thought anybody could throw worse than you. My boy,
You think Rusty,
Dr. Fauci.
You think Rusty could beat that?
Yeah, I think she got him. She got
got
him.
him.
I never thought it would happen.
My money be on Rusty and I saw
I
that
gotta
thing.
admit,
It was about 18 feet over and it bounced.
was the worst.
And he was on the bottom of
But
the
I did
mountain.
read something really good. It made me laugh. He said, listen, if I want my top science as a doctor,
Yeah.
if he throws too good, I don't think he's that good a doctor. I want my doctor and scientist throwing lousy.
Hey, when that guy came in to fix me, I wasn't looking for biceps.
No, you
I
weren't.
was looking for brains,
No.
buddy.
Is this a great country or what? Pitcher Wei-Yin Chen, released by the Marlins last November, has no team to play for. Yet he'll be the highest paid player this year. He gets $22 million guaranteed money. Unbelievable.
That is. That's what's wrong with our sports.
That's Jeter. He came
they
in and
they haven't figured out what to do with this money.
That's why the Miami citizens dislike ownership so bad, because they went in and they just said, who makes what? He's gone.
But he made a mistake. They could have paid him off earlier at $8 million, and they waited too long. Now, let me ask you this. Baseball has lots of problems like this with guaranteed money, and they made a big deal out of the Yankees-Nats game was the highest drawing viewer game since 2011. 4.4 million by the seventh inning watched the game. I'm not impressed, but they get that many people to watch the Alabama spring game.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing like football.
4 million.
Yeah, there's nothing like football. They
made a big deal about it.
You can't compare anything to it. But for baseball, they're trying anything
Yeah, they were good numbers.
to try to get the numbers.
Hey, Al, we call Eddie football. We call it the king.
Yeah.
It's the king.
But Major League Baseball, the last 4 or 5 years, the attendance and TV viewership has declined. So that people need something to watch, and that's been a little
And one
boost. Will
thing
it
matters,
stay?
ad revenue.
That's where
You
they
know,
get their money.
That's why you said the other day they wanted to play, and then they added teams to the playoffs. Literally
16.
hours
10
before
to
the game,
16.
because they make. When the playoffs are on, what's everybody's big complaint? What channel was it on? TNT, TBS, Fox, ESPN. It's on them all.
I think they're going to finish the season. I think some teams, however, may not finish. Did Major League Baseball make a mistake by not playing in a bubble?
Man, I can't say mistake. That's a wrong word. That's a wrong word to use because you don't know.
That's a good question, Eddie. It's a great question. Say this. The 2 bubble sites were Arizona and Florida, and they're hotbeds of the disease. That's one of the problems with a bubble.
This date, Major League Baseball history, July 25th. Albert, you'll like this. 1956, Roberto Clemente hit a game-winning inside-the-park grand slam at Forbes Field to give the Pirates a 9-8 win over the Chicago Cubs. Only at Forbes Field could you hit a grand slam inside-the-park home
If
run.
you got that ball in the gap and it rolled past the center fielder, there's many inside the park home runs at Forbes Field.
That batting cage out there, they just left it there because
They
it was
left
so
it
far
there.
away, right?
457
Yeah, they
feet
just
it
left
was
it there.
away.
Yeah.
1962, in this date, Denora Stan Musial hit a 2-run home run to pass Mel Ott to become the National League's all-time RBI leader, 1,862. Just one of the great players of all time.
I have him rated the most underrated superstar in Major League Baseball history. You understand? When you start talking great hitters, his name doesn't come up right away, and he was a great hitter.
Look at the RBIs.
Yes.
490 home runs, batted 333
Stay
in
in
the
the
road, batted 333 at home, or 331 at home, the same.
You want another good story about him? One year, this Cincinnati supermarket, somehow they got involved in the All-Star balloting where they flooded the market and they put all Reds in except first base. They voted for Stan anyway.
That tells you right there.
Yeah, that's true.
National Hockey League, the Pens hit the ice in the bubble August 1st in Toronto versus the Canadiens, a 5-game series. Hey, more than ever, boy, that goaltending has to be sharp. Yeah. Your power play better be sharp also. So what do you do in goaltending? Is it Matt Murray? Is it Tristan Jarry? Do you use both of them?
Well, I go Jarry. I thought he's been the better goalie all year. I'd stay with Jarry. Now, I know they like veteran guys who've been there before, so they'll go with Murray. I would go with Jarry. And what I'm going to say here is always I say in hockey, will the big guys step up? That's what I'm going to look for. If they don't step up, they could be out. So we'll see what Crosby and Malkin do.
Yes. Let me ask you, you love the hockey. Is this Murray with a short leash?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
There's short leash for all goalies
That
right
was
now.
game 1?
Oh, yeah. If he plays poorly,
5
he's out.
goals,
He's
4
out.
goals.
He's out.
I think so.
He's out.
Crosby's a little bit nicked up. They could get by Montreal without him, but after that, forget about it. If he's not healthy, I don't think they have a chance. You put all the load on Malkin then.
Yeah, and they proved before. Without Crosby, they're not going far. No. That's just the way it is. So, But they won't beat Montreal without him either. So I'm thinking they better be playing him right now.
Here's the biggest concern: a soft ice, slushy ice in Toronto and Edmonton, because you have 12 teams split between the two cities. You're going to have 3 games a day being played on each rink. There's a safety issue concern there, and slows the game down.
Yeah, for the skating teams. And Penguins are one of those. There's teams that either develop a physical team or a skating team. They're a skating team. It hurts. It does hurt, no question.
They're hoping that the lack of doors opening and closing, because no 98.6 times 15,000 will help the ice.
It would, too. It would. It's a good point, Ed.
Moving on to the NFL players pushing back about health and safety issues. The camps open this week with 3 days of COVID-19 testing before they even start to practice. The Steelers, when they open up against the Giants, have already been told there will be no fans at all allowed in the stadium. Will the COVID-19 outbreak in Major League Baseball have an impact on the NFL's thinking? And also, should the NFL consider playing in a bubble?
Nothing derails the NFL. I see zero in derailing them. They are going to play. They are also the most well-run of the leagues. I really believe that everything they planned out so far has went on schedule. They really have it together.
Hey, I was on the way here. The 6th Patriot decided to not play because of health. 6.
And they're going to trim the rosters
Yes.
from 90 down to 80. Good luck to any undrafted free agents trying to make the team.
No chance.
To do it. The Steelers' salary cap next year will dip to 100 and the salary cap will drop to 175. The Steelers will be 23 million over. The Patriots will be $50 million under the cap. Look out, the rebuilding starts.
Yeah, that's what he's going to try to do. That's their plan. There's no question about it.
How about this trade, guys? Tell me what you think. The Jets trade All-Pro safety Jamal Adams along with a 2022 fourth-round pick to Seattle for a 2021 first round, 2022 first round, 2021 third round. Who got the better deal?
Well, the better deal is for me is because from a coaching standpoint, and that's what we were, Adams was a cancer. He's a cancer deluxe, great player cancer. Antonio Brown Jr. I'll get rid of that kind of player anytime. It says me on my shirt instead of the Jets.
And he's got his name on the front end about it.
Yeah, he does. I don't want to do that.
They got 2 1s and a 3. That's good for anybody.
Let's see them make the best of it, though. I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah, no one, hey, Ed, you're being fair. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 50
What
years.
are they, perennial 3-13 team?
They've been poor.
They've been poor.
And moving on to college football, you're hearing concerns. Even Pitt AD Heather Light, she's cautiously optimistic about it. But here's the thing, guys, about college football. Every conference is going their own way, making their own. There is no leadership here, as I said a week ago. They really need a Power 5 commissioner. I don't know what the plan is, and here's the big concern. If the students coming back don't practice social distancing and they're flocking into these campus bars, the season's going to nosedive.
Yeah, it is. It depends a lot on the students. It really does. And because of the big time football teams are together in their own little dorms, or they have their own places. They're not the big worry. But this student body going right through them, I still think they're going to play too, though. I think they'll find a way to play because the moolah's so big.
I think they're going to try it. And Heather Light says Pitt's in good financial shape to weather the economic storm. I'm not sure how that is when Stanford, with $28 billion endowment, dropped 11 sports. And Wisconsin Athletic Director Bill Alvarez said no football. They lose $100 million. So I don't know how Pitt is in much better shape than these two universities.
And they can't be. Heather Light's, she continually says things that I don't believe.
Just get working on that vaccine.
I'm just asking
Hey,
questions.
just tell Pitt, get working on that vaccine.
Right.
Don't worry about that Richmond game. Nobody
Is
cares.
there another Jonas Salk?
That's right.
If they go 0-4
Yeah.
and Pitt vaccine, I'll send some money down.
And
I'll put money. I'll become a Pitt booster.
I'll do the show in a Pitt shirt.
More about Pitt and recruiting next week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.